calls to order public hearing for Resolution 03525 through 03727, Enterprise Zone. Ms. Holt, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, and good evening, Councilman Vincenti, members of the board. I want
Bring it to you a little bit.
Is it better close?
Pull it to you, yeah.
Before I start with the presentation, just want to acknowledge that I have with me Kim Spara, our finance specialist in the Department of Economic Development that supports our enterprise zone process. I come before you this evening with 3 properties that are seeking credit with our enterprise zone program. And I want to give a little bit of background on it too, just for context, if I could. The enterprise zone, we have 2, Aberdeen and Harford Grace, and the Edgewood Joppatown. So the Aberdeen Harford Grace, you can see from the map, the identified area, really kind of coincides with the Route 40 corridor, which is our development envelope and our investment area. Our next is the Edgewood Joppa, and interestingly, the Edgewood Joppa sunset in 2024, so they run for 10-year periods and they can be renewed. The Edgewood Joppa was not renewed. However, it did come to my attention that per Economic Development Article 55-707D, that any entity that was operating in an enterprise zone when the designation expired may claim that credit allowed under that section for up to 5 years after expiration. So you'll have 2 properties come before you this evening from the Aberdeen Harford Grace, and then 1 that is residual from the Edgewood Joppa. So just to give a little background, the enterprise zone provides real property and state income tax credit for businesses that are located in an enterprise zone. It gives focus on job creation or capital investment in that area. The Department of Economic Development's role is to, before it goes to the State Department of Assessment and Taxation, we verify that it is in an existing enterprise zone and prepare that property through their application process. And then the role of the county council is to offer approval based on the proposed legislation supporting their eligibility for the tax credit. So prior to this meeting, it did require a meeting with myself, with our treasurer, Robbie Sandless, and with a council member who had a majority of the enterprise zone in their area. And then the properties that are located within a municipality require a resolution prior to. So one of the properties you'll see this evening required to go through the city of Harford Grace because it's located within that municipality. Again, to give context historically, there's about 9,700 acres in the Aberdeen Harford Grace, and we've had to date more than $440 million in capital investment since 2006. And as I mentioned earlier, the Edgewood Joppa Enterprise Zone, about half of that amount of acreage, and has had about $148 million in capital investment. The first property that I bring before you this evening, again tied to the Edgewood Joppa Enterprise Zone, is PACA LLC. It's located at 1301 Governor Court in Abingdon, and it has a $9.7 million capital investment. It's about 114,000 square feet. It's located in Council District A, and proposed to create 1 to 2 new jobs. It's located in the William Paca Business Park. And one piece that I will point out is that the conditions for an enterprise zone are an and/or. So it's capital investment and/or job creation. Certainly it can have both. But this is a real opportunity for some redevelopment in a very aged business park, and an opportunity for, again, almost $10 million in capital investment in that location. And then I've just put up a site plan so you can kind of see how that development lays out. The second property is located in the Aberdeen and Harford Grace Enterprise Zone, and it's located at 1621 Clark Road. That's within the Chesapeake Industrial Park. This is nearly $22 million capital investment, 168,000 square feet, and it's being built on spec. So based on a fair market analysis, anticipating about 30 new jobs based on that size space. It's located in Council District F. And again, the city of Harvard Grace passed an ordinance in support of this prior to coming before you this evening. We have seen some good activity on this building. So I think from the prospect report from the LLC has been very positive. And in fact, even some local entities looking at being able to move in this as an expanded opportunity. Again, the site plan so that you can see that. And then our third and last property that's being proposed this evening is Ingredion Inc. You may recall them previously as Tick Gums. They specialize in different spices and emollients. And this is a capital investment of $9.45 million, about 50,000 square feet, proposing 11 new jobs, and it's in Council District F. This is an interesting proposal in that it is a vertical expansion, so about 50,000 square feet going up. And the interesting piece of this is it will support an expansion in their manufacturing operations, going from approximately 15% to 35% at that site. Because of the vertical build, it did not require a landscape plan, which is what we typically request in addition to the application of each. And again, a site plan. So these were introduced before council on October 21st. Today I come before you as public hearing, and then the council vote would take place on December 2nd. And our intent is to have this submitted to the State Department of Assessment and Taxation by December 22nd. The intent for that, it's kind of an aggressive timeline, but it's to support spring assessment in 26 for the tax bills in July of 2026. So this is a year-long process. We have an October 1 cutoff date annually to bring these before you to be able to meet that end-of-year deadline and process with SDAT. So that concludes my presentation, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Karen. Council, as she said, Mr. Bennett.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for meeting the other week to go through this with me. I think all three properties meet the standards for qualification for enterprise zone. I believe you shared with me that this coming spring is when it would come to renewal for the Aberdeen Harvard Grace enterprise zone. Is that correct?
Yes, the Aberdeen Harvard Grace is set to expire on June of 2026, so we would have to make a commitment in April if we were planning to redesignate that program.
And I just would like to publicly encourage, just like I did when we met, to either look at sunsetting the Aberdeen Harvard Grace enterprise zone or sharpening it to be more heavily focused on that municipal space. Rather, there's a lot in the Aberdeen Harvard Grace enterprise zone that's currently green space where nothing's been built before. And I think it's better used, like, for instance, in the Bell Camp Business Park, in the Harvard Grace Business Park, where it's about making an already industrialized space stronger versus building out into open space. So I hope that either we can sunset the enterprise zone or sharpen its boundaries to really hyper-focus on those municipal spaces.
No, I appreciate that input. There are some requirements about it having to be contiguous spaces. We can't break it up into blocks, so it does have to flow. But it is something that we're leaning into our land use subcommittee and asking for their input on a review, doing exactly that, looking at those boundaries and seeing what it should look like. I'd also add that in addition to our intent to either make modifications or do a redesignation, this often comes up before General Assembly in the state as, oftentimes on the chopping block. So, we could have good intention here with the program, but the state could make an ultimate decision. It is a state program.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Robert.
Yes, and I also wanted to say thank you for meeting with me. I know that policy usually is not to meet with the person who has the least amount of properties, but both of you and Robbie explained to me the process, and I thought that that was great and explained exactly what that 1 to 2 jobs meant versus, because that was a big question of mine, like, why would it only be 1 to 2 jobs with putting a new business in the area? So thank you for explaining that to me, and you, I don't know if you can explain that briefly again to others about
Sure,
what
sure.
that meant.
No, I think the focus of the property on Governor's Court is really looking at the reinvestment into that particular industrial park. The criteria for the enterprise zone is it's either creating new jobs or it's looking at a capital investment. Clearly, you'd love to have both, but it's an either-or situation. So although that one only had 1 or 2 jobs, it is a $10 million investment, and like I said, a fairly tired industrial park that really could help vitalize and anchor into new opportunities for reinvestment.
Thank you, Ms. Robert. Mr. Giangiordano?
Karen, good afternoon. Is this working? It's on. So what businesses is going in there? Can you say or no?
In Governor Court?
Yeah,
It is a storage facility.
storage facility? Okay. So the existing building there, they're retrofitting the building, obviously, it sounds like, up to 10 million. What are they doing for 10 million? What kind of,
It's a complete redo. It's all
Completely
new
redo?
construction, essentially.
okay. So I like that because those size buildings are not in high demand, but not in low demand today. So I'd rather see it be repurposed and used for something like that, especially with 114,000 square feet. What's the tax break that they get versus if it wasn't in an enterprise zone? So what is that dollar amount?
So I'll explain the process, and then I'll defer to Robbie to be able to speak to some solid
There we
numbers.
go.
But it's a 10-year tax credit that each of these properties would receive, and it's on a sliding scale. So for the first 5 years, it's an 80% tax credit, and then it goes 70, 60, 50, 40, 30. I do want to emphasize, though, it isn't a tax break on their tax bill. It's a tax break on the difference between the assessed value of that property at the time prior to development or reinvestment, and then looking at that difference, and it's a sliding scale on that investment.
So if the property was worth 3 million, they did the investment, it's worth 6 million, they're not going to pay on the 6 million, they're going to pay on the 3 million.
Correct.
Only on the new investment. And then even on the new investment where there's the property tax credit, which Karen explained, the state will reimburse us for half of it. So in essence, if the cost of the credit is $100,000, we're only paying for 50. And we don't have to do anything on the income tax side, the state does. But of course, we would also receive additional property tax revenues as well as income tax revenues from any of the new employees who would happen to live in Harford County.
Gotcha. So Karen, on the one in Harford Grace, the 168,000 square feet, you said they're building that on spec. Are they looking to have one tenant or multiple tenants in there? Do you know?
I think they are willing to subdivide, but the prospecting has been very positive, and it's been single
Yeah,
tenant.
168,000 square feet. What I found is that a lot of businesses are looking for square footage anywhere from 250,000 on down. So, some businesses want 50,000, some businesses want 75, some want 200. So, it's hard in the county to find that, when you either have mega warehouses, but you don't have many in the 250,000 square feet and below for that. So, I think that's my only other question.
I mentioned the local prospecting opportunities, and I've kind of described this in the past as a hermit crab. When it outgrows its shell, it goes on a bigger size up. And that's what we're seeing with some of the new development. It's an opportunity for them to move in and expand in their footprint here in Harford County.
And tick gums, which is down, and that goes up. I like that. What is it that they're building there? Do you know? Is it a,
It's for their manufacturing line, but it had some specialized equipment and things that will need them to go higher up.
it'd be interesting to see that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giangiordano. Anyone else, council? Ms. Dixon, do we have anyone signed up?
There's no one signed up, Mr. President.
All right, with no one else signed up, this will conclude the public hearing for Resolution 03525 through 3725, and we'll take this up at our next meeting.
Thank you.
This public hearing is now closed. We're going to take a 15-minute recess till 7. Thank you. Good evening. Now where the council will sit is the Zoning Board of Appeals. to hear Zoning Board of Appeals case number 6032, MW1 Properties LLC. We are here this evening for final argument in zoning case 6032 from the hearing examiner's decision which was rendered on August 21st, 2025, which denied the variance application for a 40-foot flagpole in the CI Commercial Industrial District. This final argument shall be based solely on evidence in the record that was created at the hearing, which includes the application, any documentation submitted to the hearing examiner, the recorded testimony received at the hearing, the transcript of the hearing, and the decision of the hearing examiner. The applicant is with us this evening. I'd like to welcome Mr. Eldon and Mr. Watts. As I told you earlier, this evening you'll have 15 minutes to present your case, and this case will not be decided tonight. It will be held for a later date. Whenever you're ready, sir.
I appreciate it, counsel. Thank you for having us. I'm Kevin Eldon, counsel for MW1 Properties, the applicant. With me is Mike Watts, the owner of MW1, and AES2, who operates at the site. Mike's company is a local defense contractor, employs approximately 40 to 60 employees in Harford County. Purchased the property approximately 3 years ago.
Purchased it about a year and a half ago, leased it for
Leased
the
it.
past 4 years.
Run,
I'm sorry, could you pull your mics a little?
yes, sorry. Operates out of the property. That's his, basically his staging and equipment area. Also has some other office space in the county. The application was originally submitted, I believe, in June or July for a variance for a flagpole of 40 feet. The current county code allows flagpoles up to 30 feet, but based on the property location and the business, the site of the property, he felt that 40 feet would be more visible to both, obviously, the public and his clients. He has a lot of government clients, obviously, that work on Aberdeen and the base that travel up and down Route 40. So knowing what the code was, we decided to file for a variance for a 40-foot flagpole. We had the hearing in August, I believe. I think everybody has a copy of the transcript. At the hearing, basically presented our case as to the criteria of the variance, and the statute's fairly clear. There's two conditions to satisfy for a variance. One is that by reason of the uniqueness of the property or topographical conditions, the literal enforcement of the code would result in either practical difficulty or an unreasonable hardship. I think we chose to focus on the practical difficulty of the property, and that building a 30-foot flagpole versus a 40-foot flagpole and how that would affect the visibility. The second condition of a variance is the variance will not substantially detrimental to adjacent properties or materially impair the purpose of the code or the public interest. Obviously we went through the notice requirements of the variance. We talked to the local neighbors. There was no objection. Nobody showed up to hearing. There's been no public pushback as to the flagpole. So I think that criteria has been satisfied. So in the hearing transcript, again, we talked about the practical difficulty, and we're coming to the council today for some additional relief. The hearing examiner, their view is that it was not, the additional height on the flagpole does not really constitute an unreasonable hardship of the property or a practical difficulty. Logically, I understand the rationale and the reasoning. I don't think it's completely off base, but at the same time, there are other businesses in Harford County. Actually, I think right across the street, Mission Barbecue, the Harley-Davidson dealer, and I think there's one other restaurant.
Chaps in Aberdeen.
Yeah, that have flagpoles, I think, well in excess of 50 feet. We searched the variance files in the county on that. I didn't see anything. I may have absolutely missed it. But again, we don't think that this is an unreasonable request. We don't think it affects, the neighbors. It's not detriment to the to the local surrounds. It fits within the code. We would conform with any other requirements or statutes. And in fact, I think the zoning hearing examiner, at the end of their, or I'm sorry, the zoning, I think at the end of their opinion, basically, disagreed, but however said, look, if it were approved and it meets the code, as long as they comply with the applicable requirements, get the permit, et cetera, that they would find it, that subject to the variance being granted, obviously, just comply with the code, get a permit, and construct it. So, we're asking really for just some practical relief, and, we're willing to address any questions that the council may have as far as, why we're here, what we want to do, what the effects of that are. I also want to give Mike a few minutes, if you will, just to kind of give a little background about his business and why he's doing this, why he's spending, we've already gone through one hearing, now we're appealing. He's obviously spending a significant amount of time and money to pursue this. The construction of the flagpole, I think it's probably a $30,000 or $40,000 endeavor. So it's not insignificant to him or his business, but anyway.
He can't, he didn't testify at the hearing.
Okay.
None of this was on the record below. You can't introduce any new facts or evidence
Okay.
in this final argument.
All right, that's fine. Yeah, I just wanted to maybe to speak a few words to kind of supplement our,
So this is on the record below, and there was only one person that testified below, and you just can't introduce any new facts or evidence at this point. It's not a de novo hearing, it's a final argument.
okay.
Ms. Oyston, is there anything you'd like to add? Your Honor, I like that. I like that. That's okay. Thank you.
One of Mike's employees, Pat Fensel's here as well. He actually was at the hearing. I don't know if he can.
He testified at the hearing. He can't say anything other than what he already said at the hearing.
Okay.
So whatever's in the transcript, they certainly have, and they have his testimony from the transcript, but he can't go outside of that either.
Okay.
But he's welcome to speak here tonight.
As long as he sticks to exactly what's in the transcript. I don't know if you recall exactly what you testified.
I mean, we have.
You can't go beyond that, so you just have to watch that.
Please.
And here's the transcript for record.
Yeah, he's in the beginning, the first couple pages, he was there a few minutes, so.
Yeah, I mean, just to like reemphasize, I was here before, and just talking like, I think, what I talked about before is, what we do it is it kind of, our clientele is the military, definitely speaks to that, and it like sets us apart, because like we're in competition with a lot of large companies, Khaki, Lockheed Martin. It's something we need to basically to help, like, see the government to help the base, like, sorry about that, a little nervous.
That's okay.
I mean, how we look at it is, our number one partner is the military. Seeing them come, definitely they appreciate that. Because like every now and then, we're just rolling out flags, just putting them up on anything we can, just to set us apart, to kind of show like, hey, you're our number one business partner. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And to kind of further that,
Myla.
the transcript, we talked about the sort of topography of the property, the building. There are, I think, 2 warehouses currently on the property, and based on the height of the warehouses, it's roughly 3.5 acre property. There's the warehouses, and then there's trees. So where we, based on where we can actually construct the flag to get it out of the right of way, to get it onto the property, the 40 feet would assist in kind of raising it above both the buildings and the trees and really giving it that visibility that they feel that they need. One, obviously for their clients, but again, they're a military contract, veterans. It's just something that's important to them. And so we're here to, ask for some practical relief and move forward with it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I mean, I think the original hearing, they did a good job of laying out sort of the argument or the facts, if you will. But again, we're just here to supplement that and certainly answer any questions that the council may have.
No, we appreciate it. Council, any questions? We are very familiar with the location and appreciate your service within the military, supporting our military. But with no other questions from you or my colleagues, this will go ahead and conclude this zoning appeal case, and it will be addressed at a future meeting. Okay? Thank you very much.
We appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We will take another recess till 7:30. Chair calls to order Legislative Session Day 25-029. Would ask you to please join us in standing for the pledge, followed by the opening prayer by Councilmember Robert. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we begin tonight's work, we pause with gratitude that the federal shutdown has ended and that stability is returning to many families, workers, and communities who were affected. We are thankful for the opportunity to move forward together. Tonight, we ask for clarity, wisdom, and steady judgment for this council. May our decisions reflect fairness, responsibility, and genuine care for all who call Harford County home. In a time when negativity and division often overshadow our communities, let this room be a place where respect guides our words, patience shapes our conversations, and collaboration leads our actions. And may we create space for understanding, thoughtful dialogue, and decisions rooted in the long-term well-being of our residents. As we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, may we be reminded of the importance of gratitude, community, and caring for one another. Let this season inspire us to serve with generosity, to seek common ground, and to honor the people who we represent with our best work. Amen.
Amen. Agenda number 4, presentation of proclamations. We have none. 5, consideration of petitions, applications, appointments, and nominations. A, Commission on Disabilities. May I have a motion for new appointments?
Council President, I move to approve the new appointments of Josh Delicos and Jacob Button.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Riley. It's been moved and second to approve the new appointments. Is there any discussion? If I may, go ahead, Ms. Robert.
I just want to say, I'm on the Commission of Disabilities, so I just want to say welcome to those who have applied, and I think they'll be a great asset to our commission.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Dixon?
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mrs. Robert?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff? Aye. Mr. Giangiordano?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Wolfsbottle?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
There being 7 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the appointments are hereby approved. I know Mr. Button's in the audience. Is Mr. Delicos here as well? Mr. Button, would you stand up and be recognized, please? Agenda number 6, special presentations. We have none. 7, approval of minutes, Board of Health update, fall 2025, public hearing November 4th, 2025. Legislative Day 25-028, November 4th, 2025. Are there any corrections to the minutes? There being no corrections, the minutes stand approved. Mr. Giangiordano, please read into the record for a motion. Resolutions 01525 through 03325, ag preservation, please.
Council President, I move to approve resolutions 15-25 through 033-25.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. It's been moved and second to approve the ag preservation resolutions. Is there any discussion? Mr. Giangiordano.
So I think this is maybe the second or third year now that we've had the revised agricultural preservation that they worked on. I think it's a good improvement, brings in some properties, gives some extra money, some properties that are more valuable. So definitely looks like it's working well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who worked on that, and glad we're moving forward with this.
Anyone else? I would just echo the same sentiments. The whole idea behind this is to protect our best soils so that our young generations of farmers have land to farm into generations to come. Ms. Dixon?
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mrs. Robert?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff? Aye. Mr. Giangiordano?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Bulsato?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
There being 7 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, Resolution 01525 through 03325 are hereby approved. Council, at this time, may have general consent to skip to agenda items number 11A through D and 12 and return to agenda number 8T thereafter. 11, call for final reading of bills. Bill 25-012, Article 1, Labor Relations, Chapter 38, Personnel, Harford County Code. Mr. Bennett may have a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve Bill 25-012.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Robert. It's been moved and seconded to approve Bill 25-12. Is there any discussion? Ms. Imhoff?
When this bill was presented, I was very aware that I would need to quickly become well-versed in employment contract binding arbitration. After 24 meetings, 18 phone calls, 102 emails, I can say that I have a firm understanding of the pros and cons of this measure. Of my 24 meetings, 23 were cordial, open, and collaborative. One meeting, however, was not. That one meeting was what made me realize why this bill was on this dais. That one meeting only occurred after a month of me asking questions that went unanswered. When the other party finally agreed to meet, our meeting was hostile, intentionally confusing, and devoid of responsibility. That meeting was with the county HR department and the employment lawyer. Throughout this process, I've worked to find a middle ground, presenting more than one modification on the current processes that would have posed as an alternate to this bill, without adding any layers of the existing process. However, all alternatives were turned down or ignored by the county executive's office, only responding with unspecified blame on the unions. When I specifically inquired about the supports for our non-unionized workforce, I essentially got a verbal shrug. Now, to their defense, I'm not sure that they even realized how hostile they were presenting. But if they were acting like that to a public official, I'm hard-pressed to trust that the reception of our county employees is much better. These employees and citizens are taxpayers, and they are the few and the mighty that keep our community functioning. And at a minimum, they should be assured that their annual contract, a contract that is negotiated on, budgeted for, and that the county executive signs and an agreement is honored.
Thank you, Ms. Imhoff. Anyone else? Mr. Bennett?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to share some numbers and then also share remarks from a councilman from a different county. Roughly 21,000 citizens in Harford County are public employees. There are roughly 14,000 union members living in Harford County. So when we talk about the impact of this bill, it impacts those who live right here in Harford County. More than half of all states in the United States provide binding arbitration to their public employees, including states like Texas, Wyoming, Oklahoma, and Alaska. Maryland is on the outskirts of the rest of the nation when it comes to this issue, far, far behind other jurisdictions. Councilman David Marks wrote a letter in support of this bill. So for some history, he was a strong advocate in Baltimore County about 16 years ago in getting their binding arbitration for their employees. And he said, "Dear Councilman Bennett, in 2010, Baltimore County's charter was amended to allow for binding arbitration when there are disputes concerning wages, hours, and other terms of employment for merit system employees. The charter change prohibits strikes or work stoppages for these employees. I was a candidate for the Baltimore County Council in the election when voters authorized this change. Question A was passed with 69% of the vote in areas where both Democrats and Republicans do well. I supported question A. I understand there are concerns about whether a system of binding arbitration might lead to tax increases. Binding arbitration has never caused a tax increase in Baltimore County, which I would have opposed if ever discussed. Instead, I believe binding arbitration has been a good tool as we try to address the concerns of labor and of management. I also appreciate the work stoppages are prohibited. In other jurisdictions, we have seen public safety and other vital functions of government paralyzed by strikes. That does not happen in Baltimore County. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my perspective. Respectfully, David Marks, Baltimore County Council. And I just appreciate his remarks and thinking about the way that binding arbitration is not just good for the employees, it's good for the employer too, because it ensures that both parties have common understanding of what the contract says and what it means. And it helps things flow in a better way because you have limited conflict between both parties. So I really hope that this bill passes tonight as a way to stand up for our county employees and say that our promises are promises kept.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Jandreau.
Thank you, Council President. So I don't want to beat Baltimore County, and we're not Baltimore County. Mr. Marks, I know, works in Harford County. So first of all. Second of all, I reached out to a bunch of different people, but I did talk to attorneys, try to find an attorney that specializes in labor negotiations and some other people. I did talk to somebody an attorney who represents 10,000 employees, 23 unions in 23 states, to get his opinion on this. His opinion, I met with them on Friday and with another attorney as well for a couple hours. So the proposed that we're looking at here, I'm told, is not going to be anything that's going to be cost neutral. The arbitrators typically charge per day for hearing for prep writing award, and they're telling us that minimum is going to be $5,000 to $7,500 for an award. I know I met with the AFSCAM people. They did confirm that those fees are accurate. So those were one of the things. Also, what the person said is discussed interest arbitration is where parties negotiating either full contract or on a specified issue reaches an impasse and submit their proposals to an arbitrator for the arbitrator to decide what the contract says. I think I'm concerned, and what I've heard from business people as well as people that have unions in their shops and everything outside and inside, is that this opens up the floodgates. Whether you believe in this or don't believe in this, it just opens things up. Let me see what else I have here. So I am not going to support this bill. I think I guess both council people are for it and both council people are against it. I think that's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Jandreau. Mr. Riley.
I think we already have a way to deal with unresolved disputes with the neutral third party, and that's the Personnel Advisory Board. And that's Harford County citizens. That's the citizens that get to decide what the issues are and what the outcomes might be. I think you're taking it out of the hands of the Harford County citizens and also taking it out of the hands of the county council, because we have a role in appointing these Harford County citizens to the Personnel Advisory Board. So I also will be a no on this bill. And one thing that's definitely going to do is it's going to cost us more money. It's not a less expensive a way to do business here in Harford County.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Mr. Robert?
So my understanding through this process, and I've done my own research, and I've met with different individuals and attorneys, and I've worked in the court system, and one of the things that sticks in my mind is we have the county has a grievance process, and there are those 4 steps, and what is being asked for is kind of adding that 5th step, and that 5th step in a case where all else fails. In normalcy, mediation, and as a trained mediator, most things get resolved. But this is the stopgap when we have binding arbitration, when there are issues that cannot be resolved, and it is impeding on a contract between 2 places, individuals, organizations, or companies. And so that is fair for our employees to be able to have that same system as other agencies like the police department, the fire department, and other organizations that have the use of binding arbitration, and that is why I am for it.
Thank you, Ms. Robert. So, I think we all agree that we're blessed to have the employees that we have in Harford County, the dedicated employees in Harford County, the ones that get out of bed 24/7 when there's a need, whether it be a tree across the road, whether it be a emergency call at someone's house, no matter, whether it be a DPW worker with a water and sewer issue. We are blessed to have the individuals that we have working in this county. And Ms. Alleghi, what I'd like you to do is give us the facts, straight facts, what this bill does and what this bill does not do.
Sure. And I think Councilmember Bennett did a great job at the public hearing outlining exactly that. So it's pretty simple, and so did Ms. Robert.
Megan, I'm sorry, can you hold your mic just
Sorry.
recording?
I'm used to being loud. Okay. I don't want to be too loud. Is that good?
Yep.
So what this does is it adds language to, what it doesn't do, first of all, is add anything to the negotiation process. Negotiation process is outlined in 38-8. That is a process that is already filled with deadlines, dates, and exactly who sits at the table to negotiate these memorandums of agreement. And that is the county executive and the unions. And there are deadlines. There is also a fact finder in that process. There's also a non-binding arbitrator in that process. So if they cannot come to an agreement on terms, there are different levels that that goes through to eventually get to a signed, sealed, and delivered memorandum of agreement. Nothing is changing with that process. This binding arbitrator does not have a seat at that table in any way, shape, or form. That section, what was added to this bill regarding enforcement of the memorandum of agreement, is not in that section, and it's not touching that section. What this is doing is saying, once you've got a signed, sealed, delivered memorandum of agreement that the county executive and the unions only will be negotiating, if there is a breach. Right now, our code is silent as to how to deal with breaches of the agreement. The charter in 607 deals with things that exclusively are the jurisdiction of the PAB. We're not taking any of that away, and the bill even says, except for 607 of the charter, that is their jurisdiction. Article 4 of the current code in Chapter 38 also handles disciplinary grievances, and that is a completely separate article of the code. That is still being handled the way the code outlines through that hierarchy, and this won't have anything to do with that. This has nothing to do with disciplinary grievances. But because the code is silent on grievances with breaches of the agreement, most of the union contracts have in there that those are going to be treated the same way disciplinary grievances are treated, which is it goes to the supervisor, which is a county employee. Then it goes to the director of HR, which is a county appointee. Then it goes to the PAB, which are citizens that are appointed by the county exec and confirmed by the council. That's where it stops. Now, the PAB decision is an administrative agency, and it can be appealed to the circuit court. What this does is, once all that has happened, if there's an alleged breach, this would add potentially a final step. Instead of going to court, which is certainly costly, and that's not free either, this would go to binding arbitration if the parties can't get this resolved after that stage. That's exactly what this does. And then there's the other piece to this, which nobody's talking that much about, but the other piece is adding that language in the negotiation section about proposing an amendment to the code, which can always happen. Anybody can go to the county executive, anybody can go to the council, ask for you guys to think about legislation. But that is the other piece to this bill. But that's in a nutshell, and I think that was presented quite well by Councilman Bennett at the public hearing as well.
Thank you, Ms. Alleghi. Mr. Riley?
Megan, so you're saying after court, after they,
No.
No,
it's before court?
correct. It's in
Okay.
place of court.
I got it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And here's the other thing, and I don't want to speak for Councilmember Bennett, but all of those details we're talking about, the timing, how many days do you have after the PAB to request binding arbitration? How is the binding arbitrator selected? Who pays for it? Those are not things that are in the bill, because I believe he feels that should be left up to the parties that are supposed to be negotiating the agreement. The county executive should have a say in that. The union should have a say in that. So all of those things, which are found in everyday contracts all the time, that would be outlined there. But it would be binding arbitration, which would be no court. That's exactly the point. You would not be allowed to then appeal that. It is binding, which is the purpose, I believe.
I understand that, but there's not like no cost for that?
Correct.
Because Okay.
Correct. I'm not saying that, but I think, but it's disingenuous to say that right now there's no potential cost. Because if you go to court and you appeal a PAB, there's certainly a cost. But there's definitely a cost to an arbitrator, absolutely. Which is more case-by-case basis. I mean, if you've got a court case and attorneys, that can be very expensive. If you have an arbitrator that's looking at something over 2 weeks, I don't imagine there would ever be arbitration that took that long, but perhaps it could.
Right, but one of the issues is an arbitrator can be from anywhere outside of Harford County.
Or not. That is something that can be negotiated in the contract between the county executive and the unions.
And I think if I may, I think the biggest thing that we're overlooking here, if there is no breach, there is no arbitrator.
Right.
Oh, I understand, but I mean, you got to understand, the only reason why they're doing the process is because somebody feels there's a breach, one side or the other. One side saying, no, we didn't breach, and one side is. So the bottom line is there's breaches. And in fact, the last I checked, there's 20 cases like right now.
That are all breaches, or are they disciplinary?
Disciplinary.
Okay, well,
that's
that
not the
doesn't
same
involve,
thing.
that's not involved here. This is not, disciplinary procedures are still under Charter 607 and Article 4 of Chapter 38. This does not handle disciplinary actions. It's a breach. It's things that I believe Councilman Bennett talked about. Am I not being paid for the hourly wage that's set forth in my contract? Am I not getting my hour-long lunch break? Am I not getting 15 minutes of breaks? I don't know. Whatever the terms are.
So it
not for
has, you're
discipline.
telling me it has nothing to do if my boss gives me 3 days off and I don't agree with that 3 days off, it can't eventually get to this stage?
If the breach is, does the contract say you get 3 days off, or doesn't it?
No, it was a disciplinary. I got 3 days off.
No.
What? I don't understand the question.
Suspension.
Oh, if you're being suspended for a disciplinary action, this does not come into play.
It does not go to the arbitrator.
Correct.
Right.
That is still Article 4, which outlines everything I just said, and 607 of the code. That is what handles disciplinary actions, and this is not touching that. What is silent in our code is there is nothing in there about how you handle grievances for a breach of the contract, which is very different than a disciplinary action. That is still
Oh, I
with the
got that.
PAB.
I was under the impression, and I hope you're right in your counsel, is that this did have
Does
something
not,
to do with.
absolutely not. That's a totally different article of the code. This is Article 1, labor relations. Article 4, if
It's
you
on-
look, is classified services, and that is disciplinary grievances.
I got it. It's on the record.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you, Megan.
there's more.
President, if I may.
We keep talking, there's gonna be more.
I'd just like to add that I own 2 small businesses and I deal with contracts every single day. Every single contract that I deal with has arbitration in it. And if you breach the contract, you need to go to arbitration. It's very simple. If you don't breach it, you don't go to arbitration. So for that, I will support this bill. Thank you.
Mr. Bennett?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that binding arbitration is an extremely rare process to even get to in labor relations. Your goal is to solve things at the lowest level. But one thing that binding arbitration does, in being cheaper than going to court, is it lowers the barrier to take it to another step. And by lowering the barrier, it balances the power between employees and employer, where employer doesn't feel like they have all the chips in their pocket and can say, what are you going to do, take me to court? Well, now there's a more reasonable process to go to where you can say, you know, we will go to binding arbitration, we will go to impasse if you don't come to recognizing what our contract says. So that balance of power ensures that employees have their contract followed. And that's really all this is about, is ensuring our county employees know that when we tell them that your contract says this, so that contract is not a suggestion, it's a promise, and that we honor that promise. So I'm very hopeful that this will pass tonight.
Mr. Riley?
Yeah, Megan, I hate to, but again, because I was told wrong, can you give me an example where you would know where the contract was breached, so to speak, and we are having this conflict? Can you give me?
What, where in the, like an actual example of when
Yeah,
that's
can you give me
happened?
a hypothetical where you would?
I think a hypothetical is probably, I would say lunch breaks or breaks in general. We have a lot of, that's something that would be in the contracts, whether it's, there are some people that work a different shift and they only have a half-hour lunch. Or there's people that have an hour lunch, maybe they also get a half-hour lunch, 2 15-minute breaks. I'm making that up because I don't have the contract in
I
front of
gotcha.
me, but that's an example. So what could happen is the employee thinks that they have an hour-long lunch and no breaks. And they're coming back and they're getting docked by their supervisor because he's saying, you only had a half-hour lunch, you've been coming in a half-hour late. No, my contract says I have an hour-long lunch. That's an example. The supervisor says, no, it says this, whatever. Goes to the supervisor, files a grievance for, you're breaching, you're not giving me my hour-long
Gotcha.
lunch break. And then it would go through the process, supervisor, HR director, PAB, and if there's no resolution, then it would go to the binding arbitrator
Thank you.
by either side.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Ms. Dixon?
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mrs. Robert?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff? Aye. Mr. Giangiordano?
No.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Bulsaddles?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
There being 6 votes in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, Bill 25012 is hereby approved. Bill 25013, zoning outdoor dining moratorium. May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I move to approve Bill 25-13.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. It's been moved and second to approve Bill 25013. Is there any discussion? Mr. Bennett?
I think that what this bill does is important and good. I also think it's time that we take the step forward to make this a permanent part of the code and no longer kick the can down the road. So my request to the executive branch is that we get that work done in the next year, because if it's another 1-year temporary stopgap next year, I will vote no next year.
Anyone else? Ms. Dixon? I'm sorry.
That's all right. Go right ahead.
Good, you all right?
Now, I'm going to vote for it, and unfortunately, if they don't get to it next year, I'm going to vote for it again because it's important for the businesses. They need it, so I don't want to take something away from them, even if the county doesn't approve it. It's important, and it needs to stay, hopefully permanently, but I won't disregard that next year if it doesn't happen.
Well, now that you said that, I feel like I got to say something too. This is important to our businesses. We have seen it over the last 4 or 5 years. This is something that has to be made permanent. This is something we've talked about long enough. This is something that the administration needs to work with planning and zoning, DILP, and also the health department to get this done. Ms. Dixon?
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mrs. Robert?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Giangiordano?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Bulsaddle?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
There being 7 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, Bill 2513 is hereby approved. Bill 25014, approval of multi-year fleet service agreement. May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I move to approve Bill 25-14.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. It's been moved and seconded to approve Bill 25014. Is there any discussion? I believe that the administration did a great job in filling us in on the particulars of the agreement. It's a company that we have done business with for multiple years and look forward to doing more in the future. Ms. Dixon?
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mrs. Robert?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Giangiordano?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Bulsaddles?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
There being 7 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, Bill 2514 is hereby approved. Bill 25015, supplemental appropriation Foster Branch. May I have a motion?
Council President, I move to approve Bill 25-15.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. It's moved and seconded to approve Bill 25015. Is there any discussion? Ms. Robert?
Yes, I just want to say I'm grateful for it. That is in my district, and I know my constituents have been waiting for some assistance with this matter, so I'm happy to see it.
Thank you, Ms. Robert. Ms. Dixon?
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mrs. Robert?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Giangiordano?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Bulsaddles?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
There being 7 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, Bill 25015 is hereby approved. 12, enrollment of bills, Bill 25012, 2513, 2514, and 2515 serve as the text finally passed. Agenda number 8, introduction and consideration of resolutions. Resolution 03925, capital program changes, Foster Branch. May I have a motion?
Council President, I move to approve Resolution 039-25.
Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Riley. It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 039-25. Ms. Aleggi, can you explain why we're jumping all over the place tonight?
Yes, so the capital, the appropriation for the capital project requires a bill and a resolution. So the bill has to be approved first before the resolution, because what the resolution is doing, there was a bill enacted in 2009 that said if you're gonna make a change, an appropriation during the year after the budget's been passed to the capital program, we need to see a resolution and the page in the budget book that's actually being changed. It was done for ease of reference when those changes are made. But there is no change to make to the budget book until the bill passes. So we had to jump to passing the bill, and now we're going back to passing the resolution with that budget page changed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Dixon?
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mrs. Robert?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Jan Giordano?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Bull Saddles?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
There being 7 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, Resolution 39-25 is hereby approved. 13, unfinished business. We have none.
We have to go back to,
No, we're good. We're good.
did we do 9 and 10? Introduction of bills, and, I mean, there aren't any, but.
Yeah, I must have skipped them, but there is nothing, like you said. That's why.
But I just want to make sure.
Agendas number 9 and 10 have nothing this evening.
Now go to.
14, new business. Request to approve settlement. Council, we have a request from the Law Department pursuant to the County Code Section 123-411 to approve a confidential settlement. The details of this claim and the settlement were outlined in 2 confidential memorandum dated September 18th, 2025 and October 29th, 2025. As required by Section 123-41.1D of the Code, council members each met with members of the Law Department to review the details of the claim and proposed settlement. At this time, may I have a motion, please?
Council President, I move to approve the settlement.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Riley. It's been moved and seconded to approve the settlement. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. Ms. Dixon?
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff? Or Mrs. Robert?
Aye.
Mrs. Imhoff? Aye. Mr. Jan Giordano?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Bull Saddles?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Being 7 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, request to approve settlement is hereby approved. 17, comments and input from attending citizens. Ms. Dixon, do we have anyone signed up?
We do, Mr. President. We have one this evening, Wilbur Pierce.
No, you got time to get there. It's when you get there is when that clock starts. Take your time. I can't show you any preference, you know.
I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible so I can cover everything on it. Ladies and gentlemen, good
I need-
evening.
Mr. Pierce? I
Yes.
need your name and address for
Okay,
the record,
Wilbur
please.
Brown Pierce, 117 Fords Lane, Perryman. For 67 years, I missed a meeting last Wednesday, about the Spasucia Road upgrade. Why? Betty, my wife, and I didn't know anything about it. We should have seen an official notice on the bulletin board at the Perryman Post Office or an ad in our local Aegis paper. My main issues with the Spasucia Road upgrade were foot, bike, and scooter traffic from the bus stop along Route 40 all the way through Perryman Gardens Apartments and on to the Perryman grocery store. Just last Friday evening, about 5 o'clock, I almost hit a person walking on the dark curving bridge on Spasucia Road. That's the most dangerous section on the entire road. The study and improvements should include the entire stretch from Route 40 to the grocery store, not just part of it. The second issue is with the GPS systems, tell the trucks to use Spasucia Road. That's the shortest and most direct route. It saves the truckers money and time. It doesn't, someone in the county ought to be able to take it upon themselves to get the GPS amended. So that's not an issue. Next is the poor lighting along the road needs to be upgraded. And then also the hot rods that run the road habitually and pass on the double yellow lines are a real hazard. Please express these issues to anybody you may get an opportunity to talk to. My next issue, I better get here on the ball. My next issue is I wanted to tell you all about a problem in the Perryman area. About 4 months ago, a giant storm blew a couple big trees down on the Spasucia Church cemetery land. It stood there and no one did anything about it. Betty and I decided to tackle the project, tried to contact the appropriate authorities to get permission to do something about it. We finally had Reverend Mark Stephen from the Episcopal Diocese of Baltimore come out and visit us, and he gave us permission to clean the mess up. We got Clear Tree to do that. After that mess was cleaned up, behind it was a bigger mess. 2 giant trees that had apparently been killed by lightning and a tremendous brush pile. We got his permission to clean that also up. Our budget is exceeding already. Next, after we got those 2 projects cleaned up, we decided we needed a little vegetation, so we decided to put 2 big holly trees and some plants to act as a buffer along the road. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to do something for the community when no one else would step forward. Our ability to do it was aided by CAT, IBM, and Lilly. We appreciate their help too.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Thank you very much. You did pretty good.
There's no one else signed up, Mr. President.
Thank you. 16, business from council members. Ms. Imhoff?
Keep calling me first. I get nervous. All right. So, on November 12th, I had the pleasure of attending the Charlie Rowley Community Service Scholarship Ceremony, where we were able to recognize and honor 23 remarkable young individuals who are making an incredible impact through their community service. The following day, on November 13th, I celebrated the newest Harford County Sheriff's Office corrections deputies at their commencement ceremony. And later that evening, I was able to participate in the Abingdon-Emerton Community Advisory Board meeting. Then on November 14th, I wrapped up the week by attending the ribbon cutting of the Made Me Mine in Abingdon, a great business under new ownership. And then today, I had the honor of attending the Harford Community College grand opening of their Welcome Center. This is 10,000 square feet of not only their new auditorium, but of meeting spaces, conference spaces, etc. It's a really remarkable building. Upcoming events, the Falston Community Advisory Board meeting is tomorrow, November 19th, from 6:30 to 8 at the Veronica Chenoweth Center. Also on November 19th, the final Community Reinvestment and Repair Fund Community Input Session is being held at the Bel Air Library beginning at 6 p.m. And then this coming Friday evening, the IUE Matter Youth Symposium for middle school and high school girls will be at the Ward Y in Abingdon from 4 to 10:30 p.m. and they already have like 150 girls. I would like to take a moment to wish everyone a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. This holiday reminds us of the importance of gratitude, family, and community, and I remain truly thankful for the opportunity to serve and represent you.
Thank you, Ms. Imhoff. Mr. Jangiordano?
Thank you, Council President. Attended the resident veterans at Brightview Senior Living on Veterans Day. I think there was 5 veterans that we had happy hour and dinner with, so it was a nice evening as part of my commitment to be on the Veterans Fair. Attended the Route 40 Network meeting. Also did the Harford County Sheriff's Office commencement ceremony on Thursday. My employee, Judy Trujillo, her son, Andrew Trujillo, pinned his cousin, Aaron Torres. So that was a nice thing for them. We had the Veterans Resource Fair this past Saturday. Successful event. There was probably about 300 vets that showed up for that. So really good turnout. My condolences to Chuck Boyle's family and Jessica, to your uncle. Also went to the Abingdon CAB meeting after the sheriff's commencement. Upcoming is Harford County Farm Banquet Annual Meeting this Friday, November 21st. Harford County Town of Bel Air will be closed Thursday, November 27th for Thanksgiving, and Friday the 28th. The Christmas Train Garden that used to be in the Armory is now at Mount Ararat Masonic Lodge, and that is going to be open Friday, November 28th. So if you haven't seen that before, it's phenomenal. I love that. And then Small Business Saturday is November 29th. So support your local businesses, and I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much, don't watch too much football, and have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Janitor Den, and Mr. Riley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to congratulate Ambrose Rhodes and Mary Haslett and the rest of the crew for the Harford County Public Library Gala. It was off the charts. Also, I want to give condolences to my colleague here, Jessica, who did lose her uncle, Chuck Boyle. I had the privilege of knowing him. He'll be missed by so many in the community. He did a lot for us. And again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Mrs. Saddles?
Thank you. Thank you for the condolences. He will be very, very missed. He was so special and such a huge part of our community, but I would like to thank everyone on behalf of our whole family for all of the support during this time. And then have a very happy and healthy, safe Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saddles. Mr. Bennett?
Hello, good evening. It's good to be with everyone. I got to visit Cub Scout Pack 313 and be with their Weeblos the other night as we talked about government. One of their requirements to get their Arrow of Light is meeting an elected official. And now other Cub Scout packs have found out that I'm available for bookings, and I've started getting lots of emails. But it was really fun. And they asked, one of the questions they asked was, what experience did I have in my youth in leadership? And all the answers I could think of came from scouting. So it was nice to be able to share that with them and let them know what they're doing now is setting them up for leadership the rest of their life. I got to walk in the Havre de Grace Veterans Day Parade, which I was very thankful schools were closed that day, so that there was a pretty good turnout of kids in the parade, kids watching the parade. It was a lot of fun. And I attended the Charlie Riley Scholarship Awards, which is an event I enjoy every year. This year was the 20th anniversary of the awards, which means nearly everyone who received the award was younger than the award itself, which I think is kind of a tremendous thought to sit with. I want to thank DPW for their 2 evenings they gave last week for public updates, although I want to echo the remarks shared tonight that we could have done a better job of getting the word out about those meetings, and it's something to be thinking about in the future to make sure we get to people. But what you shared was actually brought up a lot, both about extending the sidewalks all the way to the grocery store to keep people off of the roads, to increase lighting. Those were 2 of the biggest things that I've been hearing for several years, but it was really good for DPW to hear that as well. So thank you for bringing that up again tonight. I enjoyed the CAB meeting. We talked about not just Perryman, but we also talked about Box Hill community and the continual work that needs to be done there. But I thought it was really great, and for those of you who don't come to CAB meetings, they're community advisory boards, and it's a chance to interact with the government in a different way than this space. It's one of the things I love about them is that you can talk to someone directly from the department and they respond back to you, and there's no timers. It's just a conversation. And one of the things that the Abingdon CAB meeting brought up that I thought was really worthwhile is rather than just going from individual issue to individual issue, waiting for people to be upset about something, what if we zoom out and look at the holistic picture of these issues with flooding, or these issues with traffic, or these issues with people walking on the road, and say, what is the holistic vision for how to fix this instead of going from fire to fire? And I thought that was really good feedback for DPW to hear, but I think it's also good feedback for all of us to hear, to be able to zoom out from the individual thing that's in front of us and say, how does this fit into the whole? With that being said, I know Council President and I will be volunteering on Thanksgiving Day to help get Thanksgiving meals out from the Haverty Grace Community Projects Thanksgiving Day. For those of us who are able to give in time, in talent and treasure, I just encourage you to do that this holiday season, especially in a time when so many are in need. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Ms. Robert?
Thank you, Mr. President. So since we last met, I did do a Department of Social Services adoption ceremony in which they honored 6 families and provided a nice celebration for those families. And it was good to see the amount of happiness. My judge I always worked with said the adoption day was the only best happy day in a courtroom. Other than that, everything else was not. And so I also did a legislative citation for one of our local nail salons. They were celebrating their 1 year, and we don't have a lot in our community. And they were very, very grateful, and other individuals had reached out to me saying that that was one of the best things that they had seen happen in our community. So I am glad and honored I was able to do that. I attended the Veterans Resource Fair and walked around and talked to all the different agencies about housing and how that works and what that looks like for the veterans. And the room was packed. And I was told that every year it gets to be a big crowd of individuals. And then I went to see a little bit of the Nutcracker with the Ballet Chesapeake. They do outreach to the local libraries and schools and kind of educate children and families on the arts, and they want to make sure that they go directly to the community. So I saw a tidbit of that at the Joppa Library. And today I met with a representative from Shepperton to kind of discuss what's going on with these solar projects. It was a great conversation. I learned a lot. But our constituents are not getting that information that they need to figure out when these solar projects are coming into the area. So that was part of the conversation we had. And I am also going to be attending the IU We Matter Symposium. I'm not sure if Councilwoman Imhoff has not told you, but we are panel speakers at that event. And it is definitely catered for the middle school and high school girls to give them empowerment. There are 150 registered, but they are accepting girls all the way up till the day of. So if you know someone whose girl would like to participate, I think it's a great experience for everyone. Also, at the American Legion in Edgewood, there will be Thanksgiving dinner being served from 12 to 4. I will be one of the individuals volunteering to serve meals on that day. And I just want to wish everyone happy Thanksgiving and have a safe and happy holiday.
Thank you, Ms. Robert. 15, business from the president. Want to advertise our Adequate Public Facilities Advisory Board meeting, Wednesday, December 3rd, 6 p.m., second floor, council multipurpose room. And then this past week, I was out of town. I was away on business. And I was at the Easton Waterfowl Festival. And for those of you that may not understand or know what that's about, that is a major economic driver in Talbot County, in the town of Easton, and across the state of Maryland. They have 35 to 40,000 people that come to that town that week. There's several different events all over town. It's a great partnership with a lot of the businesses and organizations to help put that on. World record prices were set for some of the auction items, and for Maryland decoys, which is new, so very pleased to see that. But while I was gone, I want to thank Jeannie for attending the deputy's graduation, our neighbor's son. Mr. Schwartz graduated, and she was there His father pinned him, so it was good to see that. Samantha was at the Charlie Raleigh Foundation, of which I'm an honorary board member there. They do great things and have for many, many years. I know that Cynthia went to the Spasucia Road Improvement meeting, and I want to thank all of them for what they do in my stay. So the other thing that we do have coming up is Thanksgiving. As Mr. Bennett spoke about, we will once again be joining the team for the community projects of Harvard Grace to fix Thanksgiving dinner for 1,200 to 1,500 citizens. We'll start cooking turkeys Monday. We'll cook 100+ turkeys over a 2 or 3 day period. But sadly, the one thing that will be missing will be one of our dedicated volunteers, Mr. Paradis, Chip. Unfortunately passed away suddenly while he and his new wife were on a trip. And he will be missed by everyone in that community and everyone that knew him. He too, like Chuck Boyle, is a pillar of a community, and Chuck will absolutely be missed by many, many. Jeannie told me that she stood in line at that viewing for 2 to 3 hours, and that it was continuing on. So I want to thank her for being there for me as well. So with that, we would ask you to keep the friends and families of both the Boyle family and the Paradis family in your thoughts and prayers, and wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, and we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Jan Giordano.
Yeah, one more thing. There's a Harford County Economic Development meeting for free Harford County workshop for business planning with AI support on November 13th at Converge Center at 6:45. You can sign up online, and it will also be on the Harford TV afterwards. All the seminars that they have are recorded. So if you want any kind of help with business, please go to the Harford TV. But this free workshop is November 13th at 5:15 to 6:45. Thank you.
Thank you. We are adjourned.